It was just after 7 a.m. The sun hadn't fully risen over Chandler, Arizona yet. The streets were still quiet. No cars. No neighbors out walking their dogs. Just the sound of birds, the faint hum of the air conditioning unit, and the dragging scrape of suitcase wheels over cracked concrete. My brother was leaving. Logan stood there in stained gray sweatpants and a torn hoodie, holding 2 bulging garbage bags in one hand and dragging a half-broken suitcase in the other. He didn't look at me. Not once. His head was down, his mouth tight, and his face pale with something I never thought I'd see on him, shame. 2 weeks ago, I had stood in that exact same spot. Except I wasn't holding garbage bags. I was holding back tears. He'd pushed me out of the house like I was nothing, like a stranger who didn't belong, and he smiled while doing it. My brother. My blood. The one who used to walk me to school when I was little. The one who promised to always protect me. He had turned our parents against me, lied through his teeth, and watched as they told me to pack my bags and leave. I remember looking over my shoulder, hoping someone would stop me, hoping Mom would call out, "Wait, Vanessa. I'm sorry." But all I heard was the soft click of the front door closing behind me. That was 14 days ago. Now, Logan was the one being thrown out. Not gently. Not with a hug or a goodbye. Our dad had given him 30 minutes. Mom couldn't even look at him. And me? I was just standing there, arms crossed, heart racing, trying to feel satisfied. Because wasn't this what I wanted? Wasn't this justice? Wasn't this what I had dreamed about on those cold nights, sleeping on my friend's lumpy couch, wondering how everything in my life had flipped upside down? Yes, it was justice. But then, why did it hurt? Why did I feel like crying instead of celebrating? Why did watching him walk down the driveway with his life in shambles not feel like victory, but like losing something I didn't even know I still cared about? Maybe it was because, deep down, I remembered who he used to be. Before the lies. Before the bitterness. Before everything got twisted. Or maybe it's because no matter how much someone hurts you, there's still a part of you that remembers loving them. But make no mistake, this wasn't pity. This wasn't forgiveness. This was the part where the truth finally showed up. Where the masks fell off. Where everything that had been hidden came to the surface, and no one could lie their way out of it anymore. And even though it hurt, it was necessary. Still, I need you to understand something. This moment, it didn't come easy. It wasn't handed to me. And it didn't happen overnight. There was a time I thought Logan was my best friend. There was a time I would have chosen him over anyone. There was even a time I blamed myself for what happened, for the betrayal, for the lies, for being kicked out of my own home. But that's not where this story starts. Because this isn't just a story of revenge. It's a story about trust, about family, about how the people closest to you can sometimes cut the deepest. It's about learning when to fight back and when to walk away. So if you're wondering how I went from being the one pushed out to the one standing tall, let me take you back. Because this story doesn't start with revenge. It starts with love, and a lie so deep, it nearly broke me. I used to think love meant staying silent. I was wrong. We live in Chandler, Arizona, in a cozy house with a small porch and a tall, friendly jacaranda tree out front. My name is Vanessa. I'm 24 now, just finished college, still job hunting, and living at home because rent in Phoenix is expensive. I help with dinner, dishes, and errands, not because I'm told to, but because I want to. Mom's eyes light up when I volunteer. She worries about money and bills, and I like being useful. My sister Mia is younger, 19, and kind, a university freshman. She and I share a room. It's painted pale green, our favorite color. One side of the wall is yours and mine. I have a bulletin board full of pictures, quotes, and old movie tickets, and she's arranged fairy lights and sticky notes with jokes. Dad works long hours at a local tech firm. He's quiet and steady, but always smiling. Mom works part-time at a bookstore downtown. She's warm, always smells like vanilla and cardigans. She liked reading to us when we were little. Chapter books with dragons, mysteries, and worlds where the girl is the hero. Then there's Logan, my older brother. He's 28, charismatic like the sun bursts on a clear day. Friendly, smooth talker, knows how to flash that crooked smile and make everyone believe him. When he talks, people listen. When he grins, they laugh. Mom always says, Logan has a gift. But I've learned that gifts have two sides. For years, Logan lived somewhere else. College. Another kind of job. He'd visit on weekends, eat Mom's lasagna, joke around with us, and disappear again. When he moved back in, earning suddenly zero income, he said he wanted to save money for a big project. Mom worried about him. She cried, saying he needed peace and a little cushion. I didn't mind. We helped him move in. I made him sandwiches, helped carry boxes upstairs. I wanted to support him. That's what sisters do. I thought family meant helping whether or not you asked. So every day I'd wake up early to help Mom make coffee and breakfast, toast with eggs for Dad, oatmeal for Mia, almond milk smoothie for me. I like blending fruit and yelling at the blender because it's loud and energetic and wakes everyone up. I'd walk Dad to his car when I could, kiss his cheek, say, "Have a good day, Daddy." I hugged Mom before she left for work. Her smell, her softness, her way of making everything feel safe. Meanwhile, Logan slept in. He'd slide downstairs at noon in his comfy sweatpants, beard just scruffy enough to seem cool. He'd ask, "What's for breakfast?" like he'd never seen a toaster. And we would laugh and say, "Lunch already." He breezed through days telling stories like he never left. He called Dad old man as a joke. He teased Mia about her big exams. He'd hang out with his friends at night, playing video games in our living room, laughing so loud I used to think houses felt alive. Yes, he's charming. But I noticed little things. The quiet in the mornings after he left. The coin I couldn't find in my wallet. A frown on my face when I couldn't browse the book I wanted because Mom said we were out of money. I shrugged it off. Maybe I lost it. I forgot. Mistakes happen. Still, the hunger in my chest wasn't normal. Over dinner, Dad asked about my job search. I said I had 5 interviews lined up. He smiled. Mom was proud. "Soon you'll be moving into your own place," she said. I grinned. That made me happy because it meant independence. But also sadness. My green room would feel empty without me. Logan cleared his throat. Maybe Vanessa doesn't need a place. Everyone quieted. I blinked and asked, "What?" He looked bored. "Yeah. You know. She kind of freeloads real talent and all." Everyone laughed. Except me. My fork froze halfway to my mouth. Mia dropped her glass. Dad frowned. Mom looked uneasy. But Logan kept going. "I've been house sharing with friends. They don't mind helping me, so, you know." I went quiet. I didn't understand. Who needed who? Days after that, tension crept in. He started nitpicking. Why is there so much laundry here? Why is the microwave dirty? Why did someone leave coffee grounds on the counter? Mom said nothing. I rinsed, scrubbed, cleaned. I worked harder to try and fix this feeling I couldn't name. One day I reached for my wallet to pay for coffee. There was a $5 bill missing. Not much. But I remembered Mama saying that money is love. That every coin counts. I blamed myself. Did I miscount? Did I drop it? I wasn't sure. I started checking my things over and over. The bars of the TV remote, my purse, the fridge. I looked for that money everywhere. Still missing. In the evenings, I washed dishes while listening to Mia practice piano upstairs. Her music felt like a lullaby. I scrubbed until my arms burned, hoping the burning would quiet my heart. Sometimes, I'd pause and look at Logan's room. He'd be gone for hours, outsourcing for his project, he'd say. I hoped he'd pay rent, but Mom said money was tight. He's our son. We don't worry too much. I understood. I wanted to. But every night, I felt squeezed between hope and discomfort. I used to think love meant staying quiet, staying gentle, helping, being soft-spoken. Be a peacemaker, Vanessa. Don't rock the boat. That's what family needs, right? Except loving myself should not mean hurting my soul. Because now I can't ignore the tremor in my voice when I speak. The hollow ache when no one asks me what I want. The shivering anxiety when I realize maybe I've been invisible. I don't know where this is going. I don't know if anything will change. But for now, this is how shelter feels, shrinking a little bit every day, and I'm not sure how long until I wake up and there's no room left. Because something's coming. I can hear the echo. And when it hits, Nothing will ever be the same. I used to think family always stayed together. That love would protect you. I was wrong. I remember the day my brother broke everything. It started with news. I woke up to an email offer from a company hiring someone to work remotely. It wasn't much money, only just enough to pay the bills, but it was a beginning, a sign that maybe things were finally turning around. I ran to the kitchen with my phone in hand. Mom. Dad. Guess what? I said, voice trembling with excitement. They looked up from their coffee, sleepy, but curious. Mom smiled. What is it, sweetheart? I read it out loud. They want me for the remote position. I'll make $15 an hour to start. I grinned. It's not a lot, but I can save a little. And I'll be useful, help with bills. Dad nodded like he always did, quiet pride shining behind his eyes. Mom's smile grew big. Vanessa, you're amazing, she said, giving me a hug. That should have been the moment everything changed for the better. But there's always a shadow in every sunny moment. Logan was sitting at the kitchen table, half hidden behind his cereal bowl. He looked up slowly. Oh, that's great, Van, he said. His voice felt flat, like he didn't mean it. Then he added, just loud enough for the whole room to hear. Remote job, huh? Looks like you're freeloading on us. Why would they pay you when you live rent-free? My smile cracked. I looked from him to Mom and Dad. Their faces changed, just a little. A flicker of doubt blinked too fast for me to catch clearly. Mom cleared her throat. Well, that's wonderful, honey. But she didn't say more. Dad nodded again, looking down at his coffee. I tried to laugh it off. It's just a start. But suddenly the air felt heavy, like walking underwater. That night, things got worse. I was in my room with Mia. We lay on our beds facing each other, whispering about the job, our dreams, how cafes and friends and hope made everything feel possible again. Then I heard raised voices downstairs. Dad's voice was controlled, quiet. Logan, we've never had a problem with Vanessa. But Logan's voice cracked. He said, you don't get it. She's been taking money, small amounts from Mom's purse. And she's been rude, breaking our rules. And now she's sneaking off to this job, not telling you. He whispered, I found a key in her room with the cabinet lock. A tiny pause. Someone opened the liquor cabinet. A bottle is gone. He started crying. Fake tears, wet trails on his cheeks, but his eyes were calm underneath. Dad's voice went quiet. Show me. Logan pulled out an old key, Vanessa's keychain, the one with her middle school charm. And just like that, he'd planted the seed in my parents' minds. A liar. A thief. Mom shook, tears glistening in her eyes. Vanessa, she whispered, voice cracking. Did you? I choked. Mom, I would never. But the room felt too small. Dad stared. Mom looked away, shame coloring her face. At that moment, I wished we could go back to breakfast smiles. But Logan was already winning. The next morning was cold. My heart pounded. I woke up to a text from Mom. Dad wants to talk. No. At the kitchen table. My stomach somersaulted. I walked down the stairs wearing the dress I planned to wear to the interview, because I still had hope, still thought this was a dream they'd wake me from. Dad said quietly, Vanessa, you need to pack. You have 24 hours to leave. My throat closed. But the job, I tried to explain. Mom didn't look at me. Logan stared. He looked sad. He may have even smiled the faintest amount. I stood frozen. I ran to my room and threw all my things into 2 suitcases. My laptop, thesis papers, a framed photo of me and Mom, my favorite sweater, a gift Mia gave me last Christmas. I cried, but I packed fast, like letting go of a huge wave that's crashing on you. Downstairs, the TV played cartoons. Logan sat on the couch, munching popcorn, his smirk almost hidden behind the screen glow. I zipped my bag and walked past him. He glanced up, eyes cold now. He didn't say a word. I left my house. The door clicked behind me. My world collapsed in the hallway. I walked to Mia's room and held her. She whispered, I'll miss you. I squeezed her tight. I didn't feel brave. I didn't feel strong. I felt broken. I packed my life into 2 suitcases, while my brother watched cartoons on the couch, with a smirk. It was the day everything changed, where my own home felt like a trap and the person I loved most turned against me. But this wasn't the end. Not yet. Something inside whispered, "This can't be your story. I will not disappear." Because even though I was betrayed, I still remembered who I was. Even though my brother made me look like the villain, I still knew the truth. And I still had hope for justice, for healing, for a return. I used to think that once you hit rock bottom, you'd stay broken forever. I was wrong. I looked at my two shaky hands, suitcase at my feet, and realized I had nowhere to go. No home. No safety net. Just uncertainty and fear. That's when my phone buzzed. A message from Kayla. "Room's ready. You can crash here as long as you need. You're not alone." Kayla was my college friend, the one who always said the truth, even when it hurt. She had a young son, Jace, and worked as a rideshare driver. Life wasn't easy for her, but she had enough kindness to help me in my darkest moment. 2 hours later, I was walking through her tiny apartment door, heart pounding like a drum in my chest. Jace ran toward me, dragging his little backpack. "Auntie Vanessa," he yelled, wrapping me in a hug so tight I could barely breathe. I held him and felt tears prick my eyes. "So, this is my couch?" I whispered to Kayla. She offered me a smile. "And living room. And dinner. Everything." I didn't know what to say, so I nodded, my throat stuck. The next few weeks were hard. I'd sit on that old couch and scroll through job listings: part-time cashier, dog walker, coffee barista. Low-wage jobs I never would have considered before. With my degree in creative writing, I dreamed of freelance editing, storytelling, publishing. But right now, I'd take anything. I applied everywhere. Typed cover letter after cover letter, trying to pretend I loved any job that'd take me. I sent resumes to every fast food chain, every retail store, every delivery place. Every rejection email felt like a weight added to my chest. One night, I woke up crying. I sat up on the couch. Jace had gone to sleep somewhere with his blanket. I wiped my cheek and whispered, "Why? Why me? Why this?" Then I heard a small voice from the bedroom. "Why does Auntie Vanessa cry in her sleep?" I froze. Kayla's son was watching me from the doorway, worry in his big, innocent eyes. I swallowed hard and whispered, "It's a lot of worries right now, sweetheart." He nodded slowly and walked away. I pressed my lips together, heart heavy. That moment drilled deep into me. If a 5-year-old kid noticed my pain, how deep was it really? Months of feeling worthless passed. Then one afternoon, while half lost in job apps, a TikTok video popped up on my feed. A brave voice listing signs of emotional abuse, gaslighting, manipulation from family. How it isn't normal. How it's not your fault. I paused, heart tight. They said things like, "You're not crazy for feeling hurt. This wasn't your fault. Family should protect you, not silence you." Suddenly, my vision blurred with tears. Not hurt, but relief. Someone said it. Someone understood. This wasn't my fault. I felt the ground shift beneath me. My shame loosened. The weight on my chest lightened. I didn't have to hide in shadows anymore. That night I told Kayla, "I saw something. Someone said, family hurting you isn't normal." And that made me think, maybe I shouldn't stay here lost. Maybe I should grow beyond this. Her eyes glowed. She nodded. And that's when Aunt Jackie came in. One evening, Kayla surprised me with, "Sleep tight. I have a surprise tomorrow." Next morning, I opened my email, and there was a note from Aunt Jackie, Dad's sister. "I heard what happened. You don't owe him pain. Let me help. Call me." I stared at it. Aunt Jackie, quiet, wise Aunt Jackie, who visited when I was little and always asked real questions, not just, "How are you?" I called her, voice shaky. She said, "He's mine too. I never trusted Logan. You were good, kind, patient, brave. You don't need revenge, honey. Just wait. People like him? They burn their own bridges." I cried. Because she saw. She understood. In the weeks after, I focused on healing, not hurting back. I found small freelance gigs, writing blog posts, editing scripts. Nothing big, but growing. I sat with Jace playing Lego, cooking dinner with Kayla, and I felt myself breathe again. Oh, I told myself every day, I will outgrow him. I will rise. I didn't text dad or mom. I didn't punch holes in walls. I didn't chase with desperation. I quietly built. I opened a notebook and wrote down my feelings. Pain, betrayal, hope, resilience. One morning, I looked in the mirror and saw someone I wasn't sure I'd ever see again, Vanessa. Strong but kind, broken but healing. I wasn't fighting Logan. I was leaving him behind. I packed a small bag, not for running away, but for stepping forward with dignity. Kayla's voice echoed in my heart. People like him burn their own bridges. Aunt Jackie's support was quiet, powerful. And me? I was done being the story's victim. I was becoming the author of my own next chapter. I used to think that rising up had to be loud, that strength meant shouting and fighting. I was wrong. When I first moved in with Kayla in Phoenix, I dreamed of the day I could walk into my own place, key in hand, head high. It took longer than I expected, but when the day came, it wasn't loud. It felt like breathing again. I found a job at a small Phoenix startup. They hired me as a junior account manager, someone who helps clients and works with senior staff to keep projects running smoothly. It was entry-level pay, but real. I wasn't freeloading. I was doing things that mattered. They offered me $48,000 a year, around $23 an hour, plenty for our little apartment, thanks to built-in estimates for such roles in Phoenix, thejohnfox.com. My office was on the second floor of a converted warehouse downtown. Exposed brick walls, big windows, the smell of coffee and fresh notebooks. Every morning, the reception desk buzzed with interns, designers, and busy sales reps. I sat at my small desk. Calendar, notepad, calendar, post-its in pastel colors, and I felt alive again. My fingers tapped on the keyboard like a heartbeat. I replied to client emails, fixed mix-ups, learned to manage expectations. I made mistakes, little ones, but every fix made me stronger. A month in, my boss John called me into his office. "Vanessa," he said, eyes kind, "you've got outgrown this desk. I'd like you to lead client check-ins next week." My heart tightened. A promotion? Here? A recognition that I belonged? I said yes. I started preparing reports and emails carefully. Quietly, confidently, I stepped up. When meetings went well, my chest expanded with pride I hadn't felt in so long. I moved into my own space with Kayla. Our apartment was tiny, 2 bedrooms and an open kitchen living room with sunlight pouring in through a southern window. Kayla's second job as a rideshare driver meant she left early and came home late. Jace was often at school or sleeping. Most evenings, I had the place to myself. I cooked our dinners, roasted veggies, chicken baked with spices, and the occasional movie night popcorn. I let myself listen to music while I chopped, laughing at the silly songs. I felt safe. Kayla noticed the change before I did. One night, she asked, "You look lighter. When did your shoulders stop shaking?" I paused, thinking. They had slowly stopped shaking, while I worked through client issues and hit targets and found quiet joy in bills that paid themselves. I smiled. I guess. I just feel like I'm back. My new confidence spread quietly, even to Aunt Jackie. She started asking innocent questions during family dinner calls. "Oh, Vanessa, what's that job like? Are your coworkers nice?" She used a calm voice that made my parents start thinking. "You don't ask that unless you want answers." She mentioned subtle things. "I heard Logan hasn't been doing well at work. Funny he's got debt again, right?" To them, these sounded like family gossip, harmless. Behind the scenes, Aunt Jackie gathered proof. Bank statements, screenshots, messages. She built a case like a gentle wind blowing away the dust. No shouting, just quiet truth. Meanwhile, Logan's life collapsed, loud and messy. He got fired again, this time from the small marketing job he'd landed after the last disaster. His manager texted me accidentally, my name still in his contact list, explaining how Logan missed deadlines, lied to clients, and owed money. Then his girlfriend dumped him. She confronted him at dinner, tears streaming. "You said you had a car. You said you had money saved. You even said you had another job." He stuttered, and she closed the door behind her with finality. Logan started borrowing money everywhere. Friends, neighbors, even me, via text. "Just $20, he'd write. I didn't reply. Then he texted, "Please, Vanessa. I'm sorry. I just need help." I didn't reply. I was rebuilding, not re-entangling. Then the text came from Aunt Jackie. "Family dinner Thursday. Be there." My heart pounded. That Thursday evening, I walked into my parents' house. Different now. No longer the girl crying in her pajamas. Aunt Jackie was already there, calm as a lake. She had my file. Screenshots, receipts, messages, evidence of theft, lies, manipulation. But she didn't wave it around. She placed it quietly on the table and said, "Let's talk." My parents' faces were pale, confused, tearful. Logan came in last, eyes darting. "What's this?" Aunt Jackie invited him to sit. I sat too calm. Dad's voice trembled but turned firm. "These are records of things that aren't yours to take. And lies we were told." Mom looked at me, ashamed, regretful. Logan denied it at first. He looked me in the eye and said, "I love my sister. I never planned any of this." Silence. Aunt Jackie let it sit. Then she showed the receipts. Extra money missing from Mom's purse. The screenshot of his online chat boasting, "I'm playing everyone like a pro." He swallowed. His defenses collapsed. Mom's shoulders shook. Dad's eyes filled. He looked around at us, then at a mirror, and finally at me. That's when Dad said softly, but bold, "You can stay the night." He nodded at me, voice full of new respect. "But Logan, tomorrow you leave." Silence. Thunderous. The room felt narrow as the truth filled it. I didn't shout. I didn't celebrate. I let the moment carry itself. Inside I felt calm. Logic and integrity and quiet resilience won. I stayed that night in my old room, packed already earlier, but this time it wasn't exile. It was shelter. I closed my eyes and realized I had risen, quietly, loudly. No loud declarations necessary. Just steady steps forward. Proof. Truth. And sometimes, that is the loudest thing of all. He stood in the kitchen, sweatpants over his knees, 2 garbage bags on the counter, the broken suitcase at his feet. My stomach twisted when I saw him there, frozen in silence. The morning sun slipped through the half-open blinds, casting long lines across the linoleum floor. Logan was packing his life in plastic and fabric, just like I had once, but this time it felt different. In that moment, the world felt sharp. Proof had spoken. No more lies. Our parents finally saw him for what he'd been, and now here he was gone. I watched him without hate, with something else instead, relief, sadness, even a strange, bittersweet pride. How quickly things change when truth is undeniable. Mom stood behind me, tears pooling in her eyes. Her lips trembled. Through soft sobs, she whispered, "I'm so sorry, Vanessa." Her arms reached for me, and for a moment I thought I'd melt right into her embrace, but I stayed still until she wrapped me tight. "I'm sorry I didn't see. I'm sorry I let him lie. I'm sorry I hurt you." Her voice cracked and she buried her face in my shoulder. My heart tightened, but I couldn't collapse. I held her instead, felt her heartbeat, soft and ragged, saying sorry. She clutched me like she needed the forgiveness more than air. Dad stood by the stove, silent but present, his posture firm and strong. He didn't hug me, but he put a gentle hand on my back. "Thank you for being patient," he said. His voice was steady, quiet, but it carried weight. I knew it meant change, healing, remorse, and support. Logan fumbled with the zipper of his suitcase. He stared at me with a look that tried to shift blame, tried to pull me into his storm again. He opened his mouth and I heard the faint, twisted promise of lies forming. I didn't give him a chance. I didn't look away. I didn't argue. I just stood tall and held the door open. I wanted to scream, "Get out," but I didn't. Because I didn't hate him. I needed peace more than a fight. I swallowed. I flicked my eyes away, not out of weakness, but because sometimes strength means letting go. He dragged the bags behind him and stepped into the morning light. I didn't watch him walk away. Instead, I let the door swing shut behind him. I felt the click like release. Mom caught my arm. She wanted me to come back inside. But I turned calmly and said, "I love you." But I need peace more than I need a room. Mom's eyes widened. She looked at me like she saw me for the first time as an adult, not the little girl I once was. She nodded slowly. Dad didn't speak, it didn't need words. We all understood. I backed away, turned back toward the living room, and left the house for the last time that way, not with anger, but with grace. A week later, Kayla invited me over. I knocked and Jace ran down the stairs, flinging his arms around me. "You're back," he cheered. I squeezed him tight. "I'm home," I whispered. Kayla watched with her gentle smile. I gave her a look full of thanks, and she nodded. Aunt Jackie might have done the groundwork, but Kayla gave me a place to heal. That evening, I sat across from Aunt Jackie at her kitchen table. I thanked her without words, with eyes that spoke my gratitude. She smiled and nodded. I knew she understood. I didn't need revenge, just space to rise. The next day, an envelope arrived for me, postmarked from my parents' house. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a note in Mom's handwriting, soft and neat. "You were right. I just didn't want to believe it. Please forgive me." My chest tightened. I read it twice. 15 simple words, but they carried months of regret, courage, and hope. I folded the note slowly, studying how beautifully flawed Mom's handwriting was. I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of tea, staring at that note. Forgiveness felt heavy and healing. I wasn't hurt by my parents. I was hurt by what had happened, and their apology made the wounds real and human. I held the note, letting the words sink in. You were right. I just didn't want to believe it. Forgiveness and reconciliation don't erase pain, but they pave a new road. I whispered softly to myself, "You were right." I stood, clutching that note, and walked outside. The sky was wide open. I breathed in deep. I was free from fear, from insult, from hiding. I was rebuilding in peace. I tucked the note into my notebook, along with the notebook pages I'd been writing. This journey, my pain, my strength, my rise. It fit there, safe and small, proof of what love and truth can do. Over the next few days, I helped Mom and Dad rebuild trust slowly. Phone calls, visits where we talked about everything. Hurt, mistakes, healing. No rush. No pressure. Just time. I didn't move back in right away. A space was still meant for all of us to rebuild, but separately. Eventually, I might return, but not out of obligation, out of choice. But for now, my peace was more important. I went to the cafe near my office and ordered a coffee. I breathed, looked at my hands, and felt solid. I was here. I existed. I had purpose. I thought of Aunt Jackie and all she did, the quiet ally who let the truth speak. I thought of Kayla and Jace and the home they gave me when I had none. I thought of the job I loved, the life I was building. I smiled. Some stories don't end with fireworks. Mine ended with open doors, healed hearts, and the courage to stay gentle without being broken. I folded up the note, tucked it into the notebook, and walked forward into the dawn of my new life. One built on peace, truth, and the kind of love that respects boundaries and honors growth. Sometimes, justice isn't loud. It's not slamming doors or screaming matches. It's quiet. It's packing your things with dignity. It's a locked door behind you, and knowing you never have to go back. I used to believe that walking away meant giving up. Now I know it means choosing peace over chaos. And sometimes, the sweetest justice is not revenge. It's rebuilding a life they can no longer touch. If you've ever been betrayed by the people who were supposed to protect you, let me say this, you're not alone. If you've ever had to start over with nothing but 2 bags and a broken heart, I hope you rise. Not just survive, rise, higher than they ever imagined. Because strength isn't always about standing up to them. Sometimes, it's about walking away from the fire and building your own light. But like this story? Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Speech Balloon, tell us below. Have you ever been betrayed by family? What helped you heal? Bell, subscribe for more true stories like this, where women don't destroy, they rise.